Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. In this tutorial series, we are designing this device specifications table using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. In the previous video, we designed this using HTML and CSS. Now in this video, we will add the JavaScript and we will add the functionality of this specification table and also add all the data from the JavaScript code. So let's get started. Alright, so this is my source code and let's go to the main.js file. And the first thing we will do is we'll create an array of objects for all these details. So what we need to do is we need to create an array and we'll just call it specifications data. And let's create an array, and in that we'll create objects for each of the categories. So here we can see we have this category of general. So let's type category. And here let's type general, and after that we need to have all these details, so we can just type details and you can name these anything you want, and you have to add the values over here. So here we have general, so we have added general over here, and then for the details also we need to have an array, so we can create an array over here, and then we need to add the title and the value. So here we can just type title. And for the title we can just type launch date. So let's type launch date, and these details should be inside objects. So let's create an object, and in that we will have the title, and then we also need to have the value, so which is this value right here. So we can just type value and add the date over here. So in this way you can go ahead and fill in all the details you have in this array of objects inside the JavaScript code. So I'll just quickly go ahead and add all my details over here. So here I have copied all my JavaScript data. So here we can see we have this category and we have all the details over here. And then we have the next category, which is design. And then we have all the details displayed over here. So now let's go ahead and use this data, and let's go ahead and create the HTML for our design using this data. So the first thing we need to do is we need to remove all these HTML code from this container division, which is specifications container, and we'll just keep this device name over here. So let's go ahead and comment all this code. So here we have selected everything inside this specifications container division except this device name, and let's comment all of this. You can just press command / or control / to comment it. And now we can see everything is commented, and if we go back to our design, here we can see that we just have the device name displayed over here. Now let's go ahead and generate the design using JavaScript. First of all, let's create a function for that, and I'll just call this function generate HTML. Now in this function we will loop through all the details inside the specifications data. So we will use a for each loop for that. So I'll just type specifications data dot for each, and for each of the specification item I'll just call it s, and let's create an arrow function over here. And now here let's create a const and let's call it HTML, and let's add the HTML code over here. So I'll just add it inside backticks so that we can add variables inside this. So let's go over here, and first of all let's copy this s3 and let's paste it over here. And then we need to have this table. So let's copy all this table from here, and let's go back and let's paste it over here. And now here we can see we have all these details over here, and we need to add our own details from this data. But before that, let's go ahead and add this HTML to the specifications container. So here we have this division with the class of specifications container. So let's reference that. Here I'll just type const specifications container equals document.querySelector specifications container. Now in the specifications container we need to create a division with the class of category. So let's go ahead and do that. So here in the JavaScript, let's go over here and let's type const category, and let's set it equal to document.createElement, and we need to create a div, and we need to add a class of category for that. So let's type category dot class list dot add category, and then we need to add this HTML which we have over here to this category division, because here we can see inside the category we have the S3 and the table. So let's type category dot inner HTML equals HTML, which we are creating over here. Right now let's go ahead and add this category to the specifications container. So let's type specifications container dot append child, and here let's type category. Right now let's call this function called generate HTML, and let's see whether the data is being displayed. So right now if you go back to our design, we don't have anything displayed over here. So let's call the function. I'll just type generate HTML, and now we can see that the design is being displayed over here. Now we need to display the correct data over here. So let's add the correct data. So here the first thing we need to do is add the correct heading. So here instead of general, we need to add the category. So here we can see we have category of storage, and we have design, and then we have general. So here instead of general, let's type $ curly braces, and we are calling each of the specification data item S. So let's type S dot category. Now if you go back, here we can see we have general, and here we have design, and here we have storage. Now here instead of 7, we need to display the number of items that we have in the category. So here we can see in storage we just have one item, because we just have the internal memory details displayed over here. So here instead of 7 we need to have 1 displayed. So for that you can just go ahead and delete this 7 from here, and let's type $ curly braces, and here we need to type S, because we are calling each of the single specification data S, and in that we have details. Now we need to see how many elements are there inside this details array. So for that we can just type s.details.length. Now this will give us the number of items that we have inside the array, and it will just add it to our HTML. So let's go back. Now we can see it says 1 in storage, and we have 4 in design, because in design we have 4 elements, and then we have 7 in general. Right now let's go back and let's continue with adding the data. Now the next thing we need to add is the data inside the table. So here we are adding all this static data inside the tr. So let's go ahead and create a loop to loop through all these details, and we need to create the tr using JavaScript. So let's go ahead and here inside this for each loop, I just create a constant, and let's call it table rows HTML, and let's set it equal to s dot details, and we will use the map function in JavaScript to loop through all the items inside details, and we need to return a specific HTML. So let's go ahead and add parentheses, and for each of the detail I'll just call it detail, and here let's create an arrow function, and let's return some HTML. So I'll just type return, and let's add backticks, and let's copy this tr from here, and I'll just paste it over here. Now here in this th we need to add this title. So let's type $ curly braces, and we are calling each of them detail. So let's type detail dot title, and here instead of apple we need to add the value. So let's type $ curly braces detail dot value, and here we also need to add a join. So let's type join, and let's type blank over here. Now this will prevent it from adding some extra characters to the HTML. Right now let's go ahead and add this table rows HTML to the table. So here I'll just delete all these TRs from here, and let's type $ curly braces table rows HTML. Right now let's go back to our design, and let's see whether everything works alright. So now we can see we have all the details displayed over here, and we don't have any problems. Now the last thing we need to do is we need to add the functionality of this collapsing and expanding of these details. So for that let's go back, and we need to reference all these S3s. So here we can see we have the S3, and for the S3 we need to add this functionality. So let's go ahead and type const, and I'll just call it category headings, and let's set it equal to document.querySelectorAll specifications container S3. Right now let's loop through each of the headings and let's add an event listener to each of them. So let's type category headings dot for each, and for each of the heading I'll just call it H. And here let's type h.add event listener, and let's listen for the click event, and let's create an arrow function over here. Now if you go back to the CSS file, here we can see that for the S3 we are adding this class called active when we want this icon to be active. So let's add that functionality first of all. So let's go back and let's add and remove the class active to the H. So let's type h.classList.toggle active. And now if you go back and if I click on this, we can see that the class active is added and removed to the arrow. But now let's display and hide the tables when we click on this heading. So for that we need to reference the next table after the current S3 where we are clicking. So here we can see we have this S3 and after that we have the table, and then we have another S3 and we have the table. So when we click on any of these S3s, we need to hide and show the table that is below the S3. So for that let's go ahead and create a constant, and I'll just call it table, and let's set it equal to h.nextElementSibling. So this will return to us the next element, which is the table. Right now we need to hide and display the table, so we can just add an if condition and we'll just check whether we have the active class added to the H. And if we have the active class added, then we will display the table, and if we don't have the active class added, then we'll just hide the table. So here let's type h.classList.contains, and let's see whether it has the class active. And if it has the class active, then we'll just type table.style.display, and let's set it to table, and I'll just return from the function. And here we'll just type table.style.display equals none. So now what will happen is that if we don't have the active class added to the heading, then the table won't be displayed. So this line of code will be executed. And if we have the active class, then this line of code will be executed. Right now by default we need to have the table hidden. So let's go back to the style.css file and let's select the table. So here for the table I'll just type display of none. Right now let's go back to our design, and by default we don't want to have this active class for the S3. So if you go over here to the original design and if I refresh this page, we can see that we don't have the active class in the S3 at the beginning. So let's go back and let's go to the main.js file, and let's go to the HTML that we added over here. And I think we had added the active class. So here we can see for the S3 we have already added the active class. So I'll just delete it from here. And now let's go back. Now we can see that we don't have the tables displayed, and if I click on any of these S3s, we have the table of that S3 displayed over here. So everything is working alright. So that's basically how you can create this device specifications table using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Alright, so that's basically it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below, and if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.